Today, we're talking about the women who didn't just live through Indian history, they're the ones who wrote it. We're going to dive into the stories of the trailblazers, the women who were the first to claim seats of power, conquer the world's highest mountains, and just smash through every ceiling they ever came across.
It's a really good question, isn't it? I mean, is a country's history just a bunch of dates and wars and governments? Or is the real story, the one that truly matters, found somewhere else entirely?
Well, we think it's written by the pioneers, the people who have the guts to go first, to break down those barriers so that other people can walk through after them. So let's start at the very beginning, right at the foundation of modern India.
Okay, so our story kicks off in a moment of just incredible change. And let's be honest, upheaval, the birth of independent India. As this new nation was being built, a whole generation of women leaders were stepping up to help lay its very foundations.
Just look at that date, 1947. Let that sink in. This wasn't some token appointment decades later. In the very first year of its existence as an independent nation, India had a woman, Sarojini Naidu, governing one of its biggest and most important states. I mean, can you imagine the message that sent? Not just to the world, but to India itself, right from day one.
So once that precedent was set at the state level, the path was kind of cleared, wasn't it? Cleared to the very center of national power. The next barrier to fall was the Prime Minister's office itself. What this timeline really shows us is a systematic, step-by-step climb to the top of every key political office. It kicks off at the state level with the first chief minister in '63. Then, and this is a huge leap, just 3 years later you have the first woman prime minister. But look, the journey doesn't stop there. It continues right into the 21st century, securing the roles of president and speaker of the House. It's just a remarkable, steady march to the top of every single branch of government.
We really have to take a moment and zoom in on Indira Gandhi because her story is just something else. Not only was she the first woman prime minister, she is still the only one. But just look at this list. She didn't just lead the country. She also took charge of its finances, its defense, and she was the first woman to receive its highest civilian honor, the Bharat Ratna. It is an absolutely incredible collection of firsts all in one lifetime.
All right, so we've seen women making the laws, but what about upholding them? Well, that meant breaking into two of the most traditionally male-dominated worlds of all, the police and the courts.
Having political power is one thing. But when women start wearing the uniform, when they start sitting on the judge's bench, that's when they don't just influence the law, they change what justice itself looks and feels like on the ground.
So in 1972, Kiran Bedi didn't just decide to become a cop. No, she became an officer in the elite Indian Police Service, the IPS. The moment she put on that uniform, she completely shattered stereotypes and kicked open the door for countless other women to follow her into law enforcement. And then, in the world of law, bam, two enormous barriers fall just 2 years apart. In 1989, Fatima Bibi reaches the absolute peak, a seat on the Supreme Court of India. Then, hot on her heels, in 1991, Layla Seth becomes the first woman to actually lead a state's entire judicial system as the Chief Justice. So you've got one reaching the highest court in the land, and the other reaching the highest post in a state court. Both were just massive, massive wins. Okay, so we're shifting gears now. From the halls of government, we're going to the frontiers of physical endurance and exploration. We're talking about women who broke barriers not in politics, but in the sky, on top of the world's highest mountains, and yeah, even in space. This date right here is just incredible. 1936. That is a full 11 years before India even gained its independence. Sarla Tukrel earned her pilot's license when she was just 21 years old, becoming the first Indian woman to fly a plane. An absolutely mind-blowing achievement for that era.
So, from the wide-open skies to the roof of the world. In 1984, Bachendri Pal stood on top of Mount Everest, a place that pushes human beings to their absolute limits. She instantly became a national hero, a symbol of pure, unshakable grit.
And if you think you can't get any higher than Everest, well, how about we just leave the planet entirely? In 1997, Kalpana Chawla fulfilled a dream for millions of people when she flew aboard the Space Shuttle Columbia, becoming the first woman of Indian origin to journey into space.
And then, over in the sporting world, a barrier was quite literally lifted.
In the year 2000, weightlifter Karnam Malleswari earned a bronze medal at the Sydney Olympics. Now, this wasn't just any old medal. It was the very first time an Indian woman had ever stood on an Olympic podium. It was like she lifted the entire nation's hopes with her.
So what does all of this add up to? Well, it's a legacy that is so much bigger than just a list of single achievements. It's a whole spectrum of influence that touches every single part of society. We're talking culture, global peace, finance, and even pure heroism.
I mean, this table just captures the incredible range of these firsts perfectly. Just look at it. On one hand, you've got Rita Faria completely changing how the world saw India on the global stage. And on the other, you have Arundhati Bhattacharya taking the helm of the country's largest bank. From a Nobel Peace Prize for Mother Teresa to the highest award for bravery for Nirja Banat, it really proves that no field, absolutely no field, was off limits.
So at the end of the day, the story of firsts is really a story about opening doors. Each one of these women, they unlocked a door that had been sealed shut for generations, and they created a new path for everyone else. They didn't just achieve something for themselves, they changed the very definition of what was possible. They've shown the way. The only question left is, who's going to be the next one to walk through?